Franchise Sports Media!
What's going on, fight fans? We are back for a special interview here. I told you guys I had a special guest, and I do not disappoint. Right here on the main event, we are joined by the man, the myth, the legend, four-time state wrestling champion, Mr. Melvin Whitehead.
Yeah, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
My man, Mel, four-time state wrestling champion at Liberty High School. Mm-hmm. When you hear that, what goes to your mind?
At this point, I guess it's normal to me. Like, I don't know. People, like, for a lot of people, that's just like, it's just a crazy feat. You know, not like a handful of people in the country has done it. But I don't know. I've kind of numbed myself to it and stuff like that because I'm seeking out better challenges and stuff like that. Yeah, mm-hmm. It was an expectation coming out of high school to get it done. So I was like, once I did, I was like, all right, cool. All right.
Real quick, before I dive into that, just want to run this over. 211 wins, only 11 losses. Holy hell, who are those 11 guys? Your senior year, you went 49-1, 32 pins, 5 techs, 4 majors. You were ranked number 1, obviously, number 9 in the nation. For all of us who like college football, 4.5-star recruit, 4-time state national champion. Holy hell, man. Now, you said the expectations for you coming in were high. What was tougher, getting the first state championship or one of the other 3 because the expectation just grows and grows and grows?
I think my toughest one was my second because like everything I went through my sophomore year, it was, you know, coming off the high of the first and then the success in the offseason and then riding those expectations coming into it. It was hard to meet it because I don't think I was prepared for how much the game was changing once everybody knows who you are. Mm-hmm. And it made that year a lot harder, but I still got it done at the end of the day. And, you know, whenever, you know what they say about adversity, and you push through it, you come out a lot stronger at the other end.
Very much so.
So that year was trying, for lack of a better word, but yeah.
Obviously, here on the main event, we do combat sports, MMA, pro wrestling, boxing, and we always talk about it's one thing to climb the ladder to get to the top of the mountain, but once you're up there, it's lonely at the top, and you got to fend everybody else off, the expectations, everybody's coming in. You being obviously in high school, going on to the next level, you got social media, you got everyone in your ear. You're young, you're going through life, you're figuring out your body. Well, clearly you figured it out.
Yeah.
How do you keep the distractions out? How do you block all that out to stay that focused on these goals going forward? Because again, it's a lot out there to distract you guys from when I went to school not that long ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it wasn't that long ago. We had color TVs, sort of, kind of. They started to become a thing. I went to school when we had cell phones. You couldn't text, but we had cell phones.
Yeah, the Blackberries.
This was a big one. Yeah, we did. The Blackberries were brand new. Like, ooh, we got a computer.
But just mostly like staying focused on goals and stuff like that because, like you said, it's easy to get distracted. There's always going to be people in your ear telling you how good you are. But, one, they don't understand really the workload of everything, and once you set yourself to a goal and you're laser focused on it, it makes it a little bit easier to keep pushing forward and that type of deal. And I don't know, it's just also once you learn how to ignore people, it gets a lot easier to do so.
It's like I said, it's lonely at the top, and what's interesting that you say that. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, many others in all sports who have achieved greatness. They do talk about how that tunnel vision, and hey, sometimes I got to let people go.
Yeah.
It's nothing personal, but I got dreams, aspirations, and I got goals ahead. You're causing me to kind of lose focus on that. Mm-hmm. So it's amazing you at such a young age already have a grasp of that. Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of guys who make it to the pros or the college level, and they don't realize that yet. But you live and you learn.
It's funny, like, going into high school, like, everyone wants to have a lot of friends. It's stuff like big friend groups. But, like, quickly I started realizing, I'm like, this takes too much energy to keep up all them people.
People are draining.
Yes.
People are draining.
I'm like, dude. And I'm like, am I really friends with all these people? I really don't like some of these guys.
I really don't like some of you guys.
I really did.
It's so true. It's so true, though.
Yeah, like, once you actually sit back and think about it, you're like, you evaluate your friendships. You're like, I really don't I really don't mess with a lot of these dudes. They're just really just there.
Exactly.
So this is like cutting off dead weight. And then like it's so much better keeping a small group of people that holds you accountable and stuff like that, makes you a better person. So that elevates you as a man.
Not very much so.
So once I figured that out, it was just weeding out the bad influences.
All the unnecessary noises out there. Like I said, slightly older than you just by a little bit. But as I've gotten older, you do necessarily see like, man, I knew this many people in high school. How many have I really kept up with? I met this many people when I was in the military. How many do I really keep up with? Nothing against them, but how many people do I really hang out, talk to, reach out to, X, Y, and Z? So again, for you to be at a young age and to kind of realize and see that is amazing, and that just goes to show how level-headed you are, but also the people that are around you and in your life, like you said, holding you accountable, teaching you the right and wrong and things. I wanted to ask this. So you chose wrestling. That you played football as well at Liberty, but wrestling is like your forte. How'd you get into that? Because we don't really do wrestling like that as much.
Yeah. So it all started because of my football coaches back in 2013. My second year playing football, Coach Craig Murray. He kept coming up to my dad saying like, "Hey, your boy should try wrestling," stuff like that. Now, for obvious reasons, we said no. Didn't look right.
No.
It's just like we're like, nah. That's on top of that, I would rather been playing basketball at the time. So, but he kind of like gaslit my dad a little bit and just like, hey, it's gonna help with his footwork because his boy's high was really fast, had really good footwork, great body control, and he's like, it's because of wrestling. So he's like, okay.
So he knew how to sell them.
Yeah,
he had a sales pitch ready for him.
Yes.
Oh, footwork, body control. Yeah, your dad's now thinking all the other stuff. Oh yeah, that could work for this, and that. Now realizing, oh shit, my son might have to get bit by the bug.
Yeah, so he's like, all right. He's like, all right. So we tried it out, stuff like that. First match didn't go so well, but like, I didn't quit. I was like, nah. It was my pride. I was like, nah. But I grew to love it. And it's the weirdest thing that once you try it and you actually like you understand like the work that goes into it, you're just like, wow. And it's much more similar to other sports than you would realize. And it just grew from there. And then 12 years later, here I am still wrestling.
Here you are still wrestling, going on to the next level. What I always find interesting is but like growing up, we played all different sports, whatever's in season. Nowadays, for a lot of kids, you just do the same sport year round. Rarely do you get two sports. If you do, okay, I can't just do this because my friends do it. But to do something like this, I always felt, hey, always do a team sport and a solo sport. Because in a team sport, I can rely on somebody else. Yeah. Maybe you hit the layup real good, or this guy's blocking real good. But in wrestling or any other solo sport, it's all on me. It's all on you, on what you do out there. Talk about that mindset of, hey, when I'm out there on the football field, it's me and 10 other guys facing one direction. But on the mat, it's one-on-one, mano-a-mano. Talk about that mentality.
So wrestling, it teaches you how to be accountable for yourself for obvious reasons. Is this you versus somebody else? And you don't have the luxury of like leaning on other people to cover up, mistakes and stuff like that. When you make a mistake, it's evident because everyone sees it.
There's you out there.
In football, yes, maybe sometimes your mistake is what causes a play to go wrong, but there's a lot of other factors to consider and stuff like that. You always can point fingers like, well, he didn't do that. Well, he didn't do that. But wrestling, you're just like, hey, you got to go out there. Your body of work is going to show in that match. If you've been BSing and stuff like that, and you're training and stuff like that, it's going to show. And then obviously you have your coaches to help you and stuff like that. But there's only so much they can do. You got to go out there and do it. So, yeah, it's just that's the difference between like solo sports, well, wrestling and then football or basketball. It's just, that accountability, and that's what makes I think if a football player did wrestle, it makes them better because they know they take that body of work back into football, and then it can help elevate everybody else.
I always wondered that too. Like, even if you don't do it at the college level or become a state champion, I always wonder, like, why don't more football players wrestle, even just to stay in shape in the off season instead of doing 7-on-7s and this. And I get it. If you're playing basketball, track and field, baseball, I got it.
They just don't like the way it looks.
There is that part.
No, that's the funniest thing. Like, a lot of I've got like during my time at Liberty, I try to get a lot of football players to wrestle. Now, some of them said yes, a lot of them said no. And I'm not going to name who they are. If you're watching, y'all know who you are.
They already know.
But
accountability.
Yeah, but it's the two main reasons why is that is one that they're not prepared for the conditioning.
It is all right.
It's so much different. Like after their first practice, they're like, what the bro? And then two, they're not humble enough to, because in wrestling you got to be willing to accept that you're going to take a beating from somebody that's a lot better than you.
Yes.
And
no way around that, right? There's no way around that. No matter how good you are.
Yes, because it happens to quite literally everybody.
Everybody.
Even on the highest of levels and stuff like that. People like Spencer Lee, Jordan Burroughs and stuff like that, David Taylor, guys like that, they've taken their fair share of beatings every now and then. Very much so. Now it's not as often, but still, it still happens.
Even if it's in practice.
Yes.
Even if it's in practice, the guys I'm going up against, some guys are just going to get me.
Yes, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
But they can't, bring their pride down enough to be able to accept that. And then they're like, what am I really doing this for? I'm just going to go do 707 or whatever else because it's a lot easier that way.
Yeah. It's what they're familiar. It's interesting that you said that because if you can look back to when you first started football or even the first day of summer mini camps in the off season, you were gassing too. You were hurting, but you pushed through it because you could lean on your teammates, X, Y, and Z. Whereas you go to wrestling that you're unfamiliar with, that first workout, yeah, you're gassed, but it's like, buddy, it's just like football when we first started. We're gassed, we're sore. Push through it. Through it. We're going to get past it. Look at everyone else on the team. You'll get past it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that people can't revert back to that memory to use as extra motivation to go forward. But like they said, it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Speaking of not for everybody, again, like I said, we on the main event, we talk about a lot of MMA, boxing, and in that, there's weight cutting. You guys obviously, it's amazing what you guys can do. Talk about your weight cutting methods to get down. What do you wrestle at?
I was wrestling at 215 in high school. I'm moving up to heavyweight in college.
Look at you, moving on up.
Yes,
so taking on the big boys. That's right. I get you, Melvin. Don't get too big headed now. Big boy weight right here, grown man strength. Man, that kind of hurt right there, just flexing. But anyways, talk about the weight cutting and the difficulties of that because the average fan doesn't understand what really goes into that. Oh, they're just eating Oreos and burgers. No, it's a lot that goes into it. So talk about the weight cutting.
So me personally, I haven't cut too much in high school. Personally, I don't really want to be cutting. I'd rather stay where my body is at and then, so I can have the most amount of energy. But for the few times that I did, now a couple of times they weren't I didn't do it the way I should have, because when you weight cut, a lot of people, they would try to, at least what I would do, I would try to cut early. That way I'm already down, so I don't have to really worry about it and just maintain. But when you do that and you're forcing your body to stay at a weight for a long period of time, you start getting malnourished and stuff like that, and then you won't have as much energy as you would have done if you would have cut maybe a day or two before, or maybe the week before. Yeah. So one experience in particular, that here in Vegas, right for the U.S. Open, I had been cutting for a month straight. I got myself down. I was like, okay, I need to be at 202 pounds. That's 92 kilos. Damn. So I was like, okay. So I was at maybe 211, 212 at the time. So I cut. I get down there a month in advance. I just, I stayed there for about a month. But by the time I had started wrestling and stuff like that, I'm like, bro. I'm tired and stuff like that. I didn't have as much energy. I still ended up placing, and stuff like that. But
just to be clear, I still ended up
placing. And stuff like that. But it's that much different, especially with that level of competition. You're like, oh man,
wow.
I said and then I was told afterwards. They said that was the wrong weight to cut. If you were in a good enough weight range where you could have started your weight cut maybe 3 or 4 days and stuff like that. Drink some water between. But that was just only a few pounds. A lot of people I know, they be cutting somewhere between 15 to 20 pounds. Yeah. And that's why we have hydration tests and dissension plans in high school to know exactly how much weight you can healthily cut and still be able to compete. Yeah. But it still doesn't work out that way for everybody.
Of course.
Because different body types and stuff like that, And me recommending people, I'd rather you stay at the weight you're at. Yeah.
When you get in shape and whatnot and your condition, what weight are you at right now? If you're 3 pounds over, okay, fine, stay right there. Don't try to come too far. Like in MMA, a lot of guys, especially wrestlers, they try to cut 20, 30 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm weighing 180 in the off season, but when it's fight time, I'm 155. What the hell?
Yeah, me personally, I don't duck phase from nobody. I'm gonna stay where I'm at, and I'm gonna run it.
There you go.
The few times I've cut, it's because I'm smack in the middle of two weights. Which one do I want to go to, and that whatnot? I'd rather be like one of the heavier ones than be one of the lighter ones.
Because if you're in the heavier division, and then let's say you're technically a smaller one, you clearly got the size, but two, then you have the explosiveness and the speed and the power to go ahead and maybe offset the bigger guys. What's your go-to? Like, I don't know if I want to give if you want to give any secrets away, but like, what's your go-to, or at least your favorite move in wrestling that you do?
So
it's not the DDT, is it?
Nah.
The super kick?
No.
Choke slam?
No.
Okay.
But so at least on my feet, I'm pretty like hands on. I like to get to my blast doubles and stuff like that because, as you said, I'm a pretty explosive wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to my blast doubles, that's one of my go-tos. Everyone knows it at this point. My single legs and stuff like that, especially like over the last 2 years, I've started to develop that more to kind of offset the doubles because they're going to be expecting that more. Mm-hmm. So that's sometimes I have my back pocket.
Gotcha.
Then I have my underhooks and Russian ties to help set those up a little bit. Get into my snaps, Once you pose enough threat with your shots, your fakes come in handy a lot.
Yeah.
So getting to bite on that a little bit.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like gotcha.
Yeah, get you to react, and then I could counter with that because now you're like you said, you're expecting me to do this. It's like in boxing, you know this right cross is coming, so when I fake it and you, bow, left hook is coming right up there to knock you out.
Yeah, and then like on my top game and stuff like that, it's fairly simple. It's simple, but it works very well. It's I love my near wrist ride. It's one of the I don't think people use that enough.
Okay.
And I was taught it like my freshman year, and I didn't really get really good at it until my junior year and stuff like that. You still as long as you're staying off to the side, you really can't get hit with stalling. And it wears down your opponent enough to where you can open up different stuff, work different pinning combinations and stuff like that. And then,
is that the one where if you're on the side, you're grabbing his opposite wrist and holding it to his body?
No, you're grabbing the wrist to that side.
Okay.
So the same side you're at, you have that wrist and you're holding it right here. Underneath them, you can work a backside, clean the mat and stuff like that, or you can start throwing legs in, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
But it wears them out.
Yes.
It wears them out.
The reason I know that, or at least I have an idea of it, is because the Dagestan fighters in the UFC, Habib, Islam, when they take guys down, they immediately go for the wrist. And you see, they grab it either from wrapping around or in the front. And they just hold it to it, and they're riding you. Obviously, they're throwing knees, elbows, and this and that. But when they're doing that, when guys get up, they look like they've been through the meat grinder. Get up there, they're gassed. And I'm not talking about one particular fighter, all of them.
Yep.
So that's why when you were saying, I was like, oh, is that the one where they're doing this? Is that what's so effective? I wonder, like you said, I wonder why more people don't do that in the wrestling department, given how effective it is.
I guess I don't know either, but everybody has their own preferences and stuff like that. But to be fair, to use that ride, you have to have a really strong grip, and you have to be able to have good muscle endurance because it does wear on you as well. It works both ways.
Yeah.
But they're working a lot harder to break out of it than you are to keep it.
Than holding it. Because once you get it, it's like, hey, I just got to maintain it. You got to try to fight even more to get out of it and break this grip. So, yeah, that definitely wears you out.
You can easily just recapture it if they do break it. Like, they get out of it. Just grab it right back. They got to do all that work all over again. So
that is freaking amazing. So when you go through, right, and kind of similar to the fight, when you're making that walk to the mat, you're Melvin Whitehead. Everyone knows how good you are. You got the Greek body sculpture and whatnot. You got a tremendous record. Mentally, what's going through your mind as you're getting ready before you said go? What's going through your mind? Because similar to a fighter, when they make that walk to the ring or the cage, it's interesting to understand what is going through your mind at that time. Is it nerves? Is it fear? Are you singing a song? Are you focused on your opponent? Are you what are you doing?
I guess it really just depends on my mood.
Okay.
Like sometimes I'll be in more of a playful mood. I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about a song or something like that, or something that just that would make me laugh to like lighten things up a little bit. But when I know it's about to be much more of a serious match, I'm like, all right, I know who this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a rough one. So I'm like, all right, let's lock in. I'm starting to plan out give like a plan for myself what I'm gonna start doing the first few minutes of the match and stuff like that. So really, how I am before a match is heavily dependent on who
you're taking on.
Yeah.
Fair, and that makes sense because clearly you take on somebody champion or near the top 3, top whatever. It's like, hey, beat this guy. I'm on to the next level. So like you said, let me dial in, lock in, and focus. Sometimes we do see people can over-focus, over-lock in, and they end up freezing up. Now, in your sport, you really can't do too much of that, but you do that. When you step across, because it's an individual sport, you ever been intimidated by somebody? And that's not a bad thing.
Of course I have.
Yeah?
Everybody has at some point.
How do you overcome that?
Really, you just got to – they're doing the same things you are. They're only human. They're not that much different. So once you, like, start putting that into perspective – and it took me a while to get over that.
Okay.
Because it is intimidating, especially when you get the thought creeps up in your head that they might be better than you. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, man, this dude is good. The name just, like – like people pay attention to the name a lot.
A lot.
And it happens in every sport.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is about to be a rough one. But then it took me until really like last year, and I'm starting to get to the point. I'm like, you know what? Screw all that, bro. Who are they? They're not that much different. They're still human. They're in high school. It's not like they're Superman or something.
No.
Bro. Like, so just go out there and just wrestle your match, whether you win or lose.
Yes. Absolutely. They put their gear on just like I put my gear on, eat their Wheaties, say their all just like I do.
Yeah.
And like the old saying goes from an old 80s movie, if it bleeds, we can kill it. You know where that's from?
It sounds familiar.
You got the hair like it. Come on now. Arnold Schwarzenegger in the jungle.
Oh, Predator.
There we go. So you get to the end, and obviously we're going to discuss where you're going to college. What's the recruiting process like? It's 2025, NIL, all this stuff that's going on, so it's wild and crazy. Mm-hmm. What was the recruiting process like for you?
It had its ups and downs. My first day, my recruitment opened up after sophomore year. Like, I had calls from Michigan, Northwestern, Cal Baptist, North Dakota State, Northern Colorado. That was the first few. And so I'm like, oh, wow, this is crazy. Mm-hmm. Like, it's starting to get real and stuff like that. So as you're like talking to these coaches, you're bonding and stuff like that. You're like, okay, cool. And then, but it's so heavily dependent on your performance because that's the early part of the recruiting stage. They don't really tell you how it is during the middle. Whenever you especially when you hit a rough patch, like all my personal stuff that I went through and stuff like that, ended my talks in Michigan. So I'm like, okay,
wow.
So and then. Northern Colorado was kind of sketchy a little bit and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, that's a no go. Then I started talking Purdue, which that looked like a place I was going to commit to for a while.
Really?
So, especially with my my homie getting committed there, so it's going to be like a reunion of sorts. So I'm like, okay, cool. Purdue is looking like that's where I might end up, but then that started getting a little shaky. I was like, okay, so. Then it started leaning towards Northwestern, Cal Baptist, and North Dakota State. So I'm like, all right, that's not too bad. Hey, 2 of them are in the Big 12 and stuff like that. So I'm like, all right. And then one of them is in the Big 10. So I'm like, all right, cool. So going to summer of my after my junior year, so I'm like, all right, I took my visit to CBU and stuff like that. That looked like I was going to commit there, but we waited till after Fargo to see what I was going to get, one of the biggest tournaments in the country.
Yeah, but North Dakota.
Yeah. So I go into Fargo. I'd knock off one of the highest-ranked kids in the country in the round of 16. Terrible. That was a terrible bracket. I'm not even going to lie. But, yeah, so, knocked him off. And then right after I step off the mat, I check my phone. Here's Arizona State, West Virginia, Oregon State. I'm like, oh, okay. Wow. They wasted no time.
You show at the big tournament, hey, get this kid on the phone now.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, how I started getting recruited by Arizona State in the first place because, like, one of the guys that hangs around our high school wrestling team, Mr. Ray, really cool guy. Mm-hmm. He just happened to be at the Coach Zeke's camp during that summer, and he was just kind of like putting my name in his ear. And he's like, hey, this kid's really good. You might want to look into him, stuff like that. He's like, okay, I'll take a look, stuff like that. So gave me a call, introduced himself. Then I was like, all right. I was still kind of had my eyes set on CBU. So I'm like, all right, that's cool, stuff like that, great university. But after that tournament and stuff like that, I'm like, and when they showed that how much they really want you, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now the foot race was between Oregon State, CBU, and Arizona State. So I'm like, so then I ended up ruling off Oregon State for like mostly just it's hard to qualify out of the Pac-12 and stuff like that, and the future of it's kind of uncertain.
Yeah.
Then the roster, it wouldn't really have made sense for me to commit there. I was like, okay, no. And then now I took my visit to Arizona State, and it was so different, but I loved it. It was cool. The coaches they really took care of me. I bonded with the team and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I like this place. Then over the next few weeks before I announced my commitment, I'm like, so what's it going to be? Mm-hmm. And it sucked because I loved CBU too.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, all right, but then the deciding factor really just came between market and who can help me realize my dreams faster. So I'm like, you have Coach Zeke, one of the Olympic level coach. Coach so many All-Americans. He's an NCAA champ himself, Olympic silver medalist. I'm like, so you know what? I think that's the move. So dropped my commitment in September. So I was like, all right, this is it. I haven't looked back.
My man Mel going to Arizona State to be a Sundevil. Now, for the MMA fans out there, Arizona State is home to UFC alum CB Dollaway, UFC alum and Bellator light heavyweight and heavyweight champion Ryan Bader, and UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez, along with many others as well. You got Bubba Jenkins who went there as well.
Shout out to brother Bubba, bro.
Shout out to Bubba, and they've had many others. We don't need to go through the whole list, but it's amazing now that you're going to a place like that, a university like that with that type of pedigree. Clearly, you want to be challenged. They're in the Big 12.
Yeah.
So you want to be challenged, and then you want to try to go to the next level. Are the Olympics in your future?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, Olympics 2028. I'm definitely going to be trying to qualify for the Olympic team. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yep.
Let's go. America, baby.
Yes,
there
sir.
we go. That's
Yes,
going to
sir.
be freaking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So on the Arizona website, this is what they say about Melvin Whitehead. 4-time Nevada State champion in the 250-pound weight division at Liberty High School. 3-time Fargo All-American and the second wrestler to win 4 state titles in Class 5A. Congrats. 9-time high school All-American. I didn't even know you could get 9. And under 17, 92 kilograms All-American wrestler. 2-time NHSCA All-American and ranked number 9 in the 215 weight class. Excelled in the classroom with a 4.0 GPA. So you're not just a meathead out there slamming people around. You get it done in the classroom as well.
Yeah,
Shout out for that, man.
Appreciate it.
That is awesome, man. And you know what? That right there reeks. That's your mom and daddy right there.
Oh, yeah.
That's your mom and dad who I've had the pleasure to get to know over the years and getting to know you as well. So I know they were also, hey, Mel, you do what you do out there, but school comes first because that's your education. Real quick before we wrap up, what do you want to study at Arizona State?
Biomedical science.
Nice. So you're gonna become a doctor.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
I'm kind of split between becoming an actual doctor or I want to go into medical research, but the degree I chose, one, it's pretty broad, so it covers many topics. So whatever type of doctor I choose to be or a medical research, I can probably do all that.
Okay.
But it's easier. After college and stuff like that. I'm gonna go to med school, stuff like that. And it's easier to become a doctor than transition to medical research than the other way around.
Wow.
So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna become a doctor first, and then if I want to do medical research, then I can transition to that. But yeah, and now, on top of all of that, I'll still be wrestling and stuff like that. Trying to be making world teams and stuff like that. And again, Olympics 2028.
So you said medical research. Are you gonna donate your body so they can study your specimen to see how you got a hold of the serum that Captain America got? I mean, clearly, dog. I don't know what the hell they feed y'all at Liberty or down in Georgia, but good Lord, man.
Nah.
Now, I met you when you were like 12 and going on 13.
Yeah.
And you've always had a very well-built physique. Pause. But seriously, you've always been like that. And I remember your dad saying he has to bring your birth certificate and passport to events because no one's going to be like, look, if I'm on the other team, piss test you right now. I want hair samples, DNA, everything. Yeah. What's that like for you? Is that is it a bit nerve-wracking everywhere you go that people kind of assume that you're not like their kid as well, that you're different? Or do you kind of like it that, yeah, I stand out amongst you?
I find it funny. And
okay.
Like, I think you remember this game. Like, that I forgot what team it was, but that white and green team. I think you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I
forget what their name was, but yeah.
Yeah, but they got so pressed about me being on the field that Coach Matt had to take me off. He sat me for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
like I think I had scored 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, and they were like, "Nah, no," and he's like, "He can't
play."
So he sat me for the rest of the game. I was like, bruh, really?
So out here in Las Vegas, I met Melvin because I used to coach and he played for the Vegas Strong Youth Football Organization out here. Shout out to Vegas Strong. And at a point, we played a team that wasn't up to par from a physical and skill level, and Mel was just running shop on him. I mean, it looked bad out there, man. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
there was a couple of those runs. Those kids look like they shouldn't belong out there with you. You look like the little big brother out there.
They were small, bro.
They were small.
They were small.
So the coach and parents were complaining that their kids are going to get hurt, even though it's football. So we had to sit you the rest of the game, and it sucked. But it was kind of funny because it's like, hey, now we're going to bring in our backups. When they run over you, what are you going to say then?
Yeah, that's why I wasn't tripping. I was just like, you know what? I said, I just want to see the outcome of this, bro.
That's it. It wasn't good. It wasn't good.
I was like, okay, cool. But then, it wasn't all bad because when we played my old Georgia teams and stuff like that,
gosh.
I didn't need no birth certificate then because
they had 5 of you over there.
Exactly.
They had
so
5
I'm like,
of you over there, and we was all like, wait, so there's more of him like that over there? It was. I ain't gonna lie, man. That's a different breed.
Yeah. That's what I told, and I warned y'all too, and that's why they're called rare breeds, bro. Like I literally said, I'm like, bro. I said, you think I'm bad? Man, there's a whole bunch of me's over there.
We were talking like, yo, hold up, is that the high school team out here? What are we doing? No, they were all the same age and speed, athleticism, burst. We was like, hey man, we need to go back to the drum board. But nonetheless, that's why you compete.
Yeah,
you take on the best, see where you at, you adjust, and you push forward, and you rise to the top. Clearly, as we're talking about it, as you go through life, especially as an athlete, you have coaches, you have influences. I remember your dad yelling at people on the side. He had me doing push-ups at one point in time. And I'm like, Coach, I'm a coach too. I don't care. Give me 10. You got it, Coach.
Yep.
So out of curiosity, who's been your parents are number one. The man upstairs, number one or number two, however, right?
Yeah.
But outside of the man upstairs and your parents, who's been some of your influencers or people who have motivated you or influenced you from the athletic standpoint?
Definitely like my high school coaches, Coach Kenny, Coach G, Coach Taylor, shout out to them, and Coach Wes, man, I love that boy for real.
Right on.
And then definitely like Coach Pammy and Coach Garcia from Cimarron, retired, shout out to him. But they definitely helped me along my journey in high school. Made me better.
That's what's up. And obviously because after in high school you're developing, you're growing. That's leading you to the next one. But you've been playing sports a while. I mean, before high school, did you have any youth coaches that maybe were big influences on you as well, and maybe helped you along the way at all?
Yeah, definitely Coach Matt. Coach Gino Torres from the LV 49ers.
Okay, yep.
Stuff like that. Coach, Mal's dad. He was Coach George. He was a really good coach. Coach DB.
Yep, Coach DB was also. Coach George was amazing. Coach Matt, shout out to Michael going to UH, by the way. Were there any coaches who maybe had big personalities and kept things light and heavy out there where you guys weren't so tense and you had a few laughs or anything? Was there any coaches like that?
Yeah, we had Coach Goff and stuff like that. How crazy he was. He was funny.
He was crazy. He was funny. Okay, what about any veteran coaches? Some of these our military, they leave the service, they come out, they want to give back to the youth. Did you have any veteran coaches that maybe helped you?
Yeah, my dad. He was in the Army.
That is true. Shout out to Big Coach Mel. Okay, what about any coach that you had who was a veteran, big personality, and was Polynesian?
Oh, yeah, you. That was you.
Yes, sir.
That was you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good Lord, man. I'm not like, how far down the list am I? No, that is awesome, no, man. But seriously, it was amazing. I told your dad this, and you had heard me, and I didn't even know that you had heard this, but I said back then, you got a good kid on your hands. You've raised him well. It's tough love, but the key word in that is love.
Yeah.
And you noticed that at a young age, and you thrived on that. But you got a good kid, respectable, coachable, which is awesome in this day and age. But also, you treated everyone equally. You didn't look at any teammates who weren't as fast as you, as less, not as strong, whatever, and that's led you to be successful, but also to continue to be a good person and human being. In this day and age, man, we need more and more out there like that to shine. So,
Oh yeah.
one, I want to say thank you for coming on the main event. And thank you for doing this interview. But two, man, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your life and a part of your journey. And I look forward to just seeing you thrive and going forward, my man. So best of luck to you going forward.
Appreciate
and
it.
I hope everything goes well. And don't shake too hard, okay? I got to use this hand later on. Good Lord, man. Damn.
And you don't need it.
Lay off the creatine.
You don't need it.
But Melvin Whitehead, Arizona State. I cannot wait 2020 at the Olympics, man. I'm going to be looking for you on that podium.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to be looking for you on that podium.
Yes, sir.
This has been the main event on Franchise Sports Media. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. This interview will be live and going. Make sure you check out Melvin Whitehead. Where can you find you online?
LLC Melly on Instagram and Melvin Whitehead 18 on Twitter.
And the Arizona State University wrestling team, you got a good one here. You guys be sure to follow. Till next time, fight fans. Peace.